the Off-Grid family. Today I'm doing a job partly out of necessity and partly out of want. Our cooker broke a while back and I was 100% sure it was the thermostat, so I did a bit of research, found out how I'd go about fixing it and so on. Took it apart and, well, took the back off and found out that not only had the thermostat gone, but when it had died, a lot of wire was actually burnt out, like there had been like an electrical short of some kind. So I wasn't happy with actually fixing that part of it in case it happened again and caused a fire or something. So, you know, I don't know enough about it, so I just thought, leave it. I went on Facebook, spoke to just a few people on different sales sites, and a guy offered me his cooker, which wasn't very old, a little bit older than our one, and ours was only a year old. And he offered it for a tenner, and considering our insurance company was saying we'd have to pay £100 excess, £100 for an engineer to come out to make sure it was broken, and then they might give us money. So I thought, well, screw you. And that's why I bought one for £10. Now, good and bad news, the cooker he sold us was in his back garden in his shed, and it had some cosmetic rust on it. What the good news is it's the same exact style as our one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take parts off of our old cooker, put them on the new cooker to make it look newer and nicer. And there's a few things within the oven that I can use for another project, which is coming up maybe in about 4 or 5 months. I've got a few other bits to gather before I can do it. But I thought I'd take you along to show you what's inside an oven. You might find some use in it, and you might also find some parts in it that you need for a project, especially if you follow along with my project and maybe you know, want to replicate what I do. So first off, I'll show you the damage on the other cooker, and then we'll get on with taking all the bits off the old one. Let's get on. So as you can see, there's a lot of rust along here. It's literally only surface rust, but I was going to sand it all down and spray it until I realised it was the same model as ours. And there's some damage to the actual hobs and everything, but unfortunately we've got ceramic hobs on our one because it was a newer model, so there's nothing I can really do about that. But there's also some rust on the sides, which I can change the sides because I think they're exactly the same size, and a little bit down here as well. What I'll also do is I'll keep the door to the other one, the door to both the grill and the thing in case I accidentally mess it up. And also, these little blighters in here often get broken. They often die very, very quickly. So I'm going to keep some of them as well and just keep them safe, because it broke. The one I've got in my old cooker broke only about 3 months ago, so it's almost brand new, and it cost me over £7 just for the little bit inside that. So there's a lot of things I can keep. Also, the knobs on these are £6 on eBay. So I could actually sell it for parts and probably make the same amount of money back. But let's get on taking it apart, and I'll show you what bits you can expect to find in, you know, the average oven. Okay, I'm going to start at the front and take this door off first. The majority of them open the same way. So all you need is a screwdriver. You put it in under here and lift that bit up. And you do that on both sides. Now it's just a case of lifting it up and out. So, door off. Now the front, I've already taken the glass out of this, the front bit of glass, so I was cleaning it. But I will actually use that on the front of one of my rocket stoves, so you can actually see the flames on one of my rocket mass heaters I'm building. So I'm not going to take any more off the front at the second. I'm going to turn it around and start on the back. I'd like to apologise for the state of this, but this is actually all in the metal. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just, it used to get cleaned all the time, but it just stained all the metal, so there's nothing I could do with it. This is where the actual wires would go in there. But I've already unscrewed all of this because when I was trying to fix it, I had to. So that's a case of lifting it up and out. a solid piece of concrete. I'm not entirely sure why that would be there. And then we've got all of the wires going into the back of the door to where the actual plug socket would be. So we can just wiggle them free. One thing a lot of people don't keep, which I think is silly, is the back plates and the side plates and all that. I'm going to actually keep them because when we finally do go off grid, that is a perfect backboard for various different things. And I've actually got some out in the garden which are solid steel or solid aluminium or, you know, different materials. And they're perfect sizes to make little wood store roofs and so on. So I do often keep those kind of things. Okay, this was actually what's wrong with it. This is the thermostat for the oven. And if you have a look, that whole thing has actually completely burnt out. And I was a bit concerned if I changed the thermostat, which would have cost me about £20. I was a bit concerned that it might happen again and possibly cause a fire. All of this stuff here is insulation. And it's fiberglass, so it's not very nice to mess about with, but it is fireproof and it is insulation, so I will keep that. I'll put it in a bag, and that can be used again to insulate any fires I might make, any, you know, any rocket stove projects I've got, that kind of thing. So I'll get that out as carefully as I can. I'd advise using gloves because fiberglass will make you itch like nobody's business. It used to be what they filled lofts with, and it's not nice stuff. They still do, but not as much as cheaper alternatives now. But I'll take all that out and then I'll show you what's what inside here. Okay, so that's the only bits I could get to at the moment. Here we've got a heating element, and here we've got a heating element, and this one ironically never worked as far as I could tell. So I think we just got a bad cooker, to be honest. Considering this was only about a year old, maybe 2 at the maximum, there's rust all in it. It looks absolutely terrible. Right, the next job I think I'll do is remove this plate here, and then I'll go to work on the sides, I think. Okay, all the screws have been removed, and obviously it still won't come off. It's because there's pipes connected to it, and they've just been twisted into here. So with a pair of pliers, one side, the other side. Wow, look at the state of that. That's disgusting. One, two. Now, this little wire here is connected to one of the either thermostats or heating elements. Let me have a look. No, no, it's not that. I think that's to one of the thermostat wires, but I'm not sure. Now, I'm going to unscrew all of the screws on the sides and start making my way around to the sides, I think. Before I do the sides, I completely forgot, I'll have to remove the lid. Now, I took all the screws off before that connect this, and the majority open the same way again, and what you have to do is you have to just lift at the back, and it should, with a bit of wiggle room, come off. Okay, and this is the underside of the hobs. As you can see by the dots, that corresponds to each hob. So what I need to do now is take this piece of metal off and expose what's underneath. To do that, it's fairly straightforward again, just screws on each side. before I go any further, I'm actually going to disconnect the top part from knobs at the front, and I'll show you how I do that now. Okay, just like before, they're all connected via these spade connectors. It makes it easy for people to, well, for an engineer to come along, remove one of the hobnobs, to remove one of the knobs here and, you know, put in a replacement if needed or whatever. So all I'm doing is following the wires back and pulling out the ones connected. Okay, that one's connected to the LED at the front, so I'll deal with that in a sec. Oh, I don't need to yet. Okay, and we've got one that's connected to, well, two connected to ground, which are those wires there. So I'll take them off now. And once I've got it completely off, I'll come back. A couple more screws. I think it's amazing how these things are designed, because, oh, hang on, there is grime and grease all the way around this edge, and we cleaned out this cooker religiously at one point, but these edges you just couldn't get into, and there's a bit at the front on one of the lips where you could just see dirt accumulating, but you couldn't do anything about it. Okay, another potentially usable piece of aluminium. And if it's not usable, it's definitely, you can definitely melt it down and use it for something completely different. And these are the hobs. Now this is nichrome wire, and I assume that is a thermostat running across. So let me try and untangle this mess a little bit. Okay, this bit here is actually where the LEDs are that would tell you which hob is still hot. And then there's some resistors obviously going to it. So I'm going to take that whole section off if possible. Okay, so this, as I said before, is the actual heating element. This is nichrome wire, and then, yeah, this is a thermostat. So I don't know how usable the thermostat will be for me personally, because I don't know much about it. However, the rest of it I can use, and I might look into making a furnace of some kind out of one of these or something. I'm not sure yet. I always like to gather materials and then go, well, what can I make with it? And that leads me on to my next project kind of thing. But at the moment I've got a few projects coming up that are intense. There's a lot of work to go into them. So this will all sit by and wait for a, you know, a rainy day project. But I'm going to need some pliers to remove them. Now these rods are often, oh no, I was going to say the glass, but that's plastic. I was going to say be careful because you don't want to break it, but there's one off and free, so I'll put that down and on to the next one. Number two. Right, I'll come back once I've released all of them. This is the LEDs. It actually just came out. I pressed down on two little bits of plastic and they just popped out. But there are three obviously quite heat resistant LEDs and their relevant resistors. I'll find out what resistors they are later on. Now this piece of glass is obviously extremely heat resistant, and I'm going to attempt to cut that out later on so I can actually use this for another project. Again, I have no project in mind yet, but that will be a future endeavour. Okay, I'm still not able to get to the side panels yet, but I'll need to remove the front panel, and then there's screws all down the front. First cooker I ever took apart, I didn't own a drill or an electric screwdriver. I did it all by hand, and I have to tell you, with an electric screwdriver it's slightly easier. Now, have a look. With anything electronic like this, I often say it's a little bit like a puzzle. Just take it slowly and have a look at what needs to come out next, or what. Often you uncover one thing and it will open up enough screws for another thing. This is nearly free now. All I need to do is unscrew a couple of screws at the bottom and that should come out. Sometimes there's a hidden screw, but we'll see. Oh, hold on to this bit, because this bit often isn't connected to this bit. So that will fall down. Sometimes it is connected. That is not how you use a drill. How long has that been unscrewing? That section's now off. Okay, and like before, it's connected via all these wires, which I'm just going to pull out. I'm not bothered where any of them go at the moment. We will have a look around and I'll show you a few other bits in a minute. I'm just removing the ones that are connected to this wire for now, which will be the majority of them, if not all of them, but okay, that again is connected to the LED at the front, so I'll look at that in a second. These wires here go directly to the grill and the oven. Again, I'm not really bothered about them. I'm not trying to save this or salvage it, so I'm just going to cut them. Whenever taking anything apart, if you want to learn about it, just follow the wires down, and you know, if you don't know exactly what a part does, there's such a lot of information on the internet. You should be able to find out what it is and, you know, all that just with a quick search. A good thing with things like ovens is you can do a search for the exact brand and then just put parts, and then you can like look through all the parts lists until you find the exact bit you're looking at. Now that's one of the bits I'm going to put back on my oven, but it needs a proper decent clean. So that is the entire switching panel. I might consider swapping that for the one in my cooker, but taking all of the actual dials and knobs and everything off of the working one, and just replacing them with this. this. This bit, which way does it go? Oh, I'm trying to remove it and I haven't taken the knobs off. It's funny, isn't it, that these knobs cost £7. I think it was £6 or £7 on eBay. It's ridiculous. Okay. And then that all just lifts out and can be swapped, but I'm not sure what I'd do. It's a lot of work to swap that. Whereas if I just wanted to swap the underneath panel, all it is 3 screws. I will ask the boss in a minute, see what she wants me to do. Okay, so that's all of the bits and pieces. Back to the front, and I'm going to take the whole grille section out. Sorry about how dark it is, but I can't do anything about that at the moment. Okay, now we're going to remove these screws. Remember what I said? Just go careful because your grill might want to just run away. In fact, the side plate might as well. Let's have a look. No, there's still stuff wanting to hold that in, so we're okay at the moment. On this side there's a momentary switch, which is for when you close the grill. If it's on, it automatically turns the grill off, and that's why you have to keep your door open when you're cooking toast or whatever. That's actually a safety feature so it doesn't get too hot, I think. I'd assume so anyway. Okay, so again, we're all connected up, so if we can just remove all the spade connectors. That's still connected. These are a type of spade connector too, so they can just be removed. Possibly. Remember, try not to rub the fiberglass too much or irritate it, because it unfortunately will irritate you back. It's a very manipulative beast. Okay, I'm going to get the insulation out. A couple of brackets just fell out. And that is out. Okay, on the back of the grill you'll see that there's two screws, sorry. Those screws are connected to the heating element, so I'm going to get that out now. Okay, and there's the grill heating element. Now I honestly don't know what to do with that either. I will do a bit of research and see if I can incorporate that in a project. The thing with heating stuff is it takes a lot of electricity. Anything that gets hot is something that will use a lot of power. That's why they swapped over to the other bulbs, and they don't get as hot. They use less power. So like if you've got a heating mat or anything like that, it will use more power than say LEDs or whatever. As I say, they don't get hot. Okay, next part, I'm going to take off the other bits of nasty fiberglass. Now you can see this fiberglass is actually started, not melting, not burning, nothing, but you can see where it's actually been slightly damaged by the heat. It's still perfectly usable. It's just going to be a little bit more volatile in the sense that there will be finer particles on this one. So just go careful, don't flap it about. As I say, this stuff is fireproof, it's waterproof, etc, etc, but it is just nasty. I will reuse it all though. This is the bit of glass from the oven door. It looks disgusting at the moment, but it takes a few minutes to get the stuff off. But this is heat proof to some degree, and this is another thing I want as a window to one of my my rocket mass heaters, so that the flames will pass by this and you can actually just see them, you know, and it just gives that effect that you've got an open fire. And I'm thinking that this one might be outside, so when it's lit it will light up the area as well quite nicely. When trying to get these sides off, it's just now a case of looking for what screws you haven't unscrewed. I'm going to take them off and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to take all the extra spade connectors off now. Now this is the light for the cooker. There it is, and it's actually exploded in there. I don't think that still works, do you? And this little wire here actually connects to the thermostat rod in here. If I can work out how to unclip it without looking. No, I'm going to have to look. And that's like the temperature probe for inside your cooker. I'll take off the heat element again. I'm not sure if it's an element or if... No, it's an element, obviously. I will just warn you, I might start babbling. It's about 2:30 in the morning now. There's a much more messy element from the oven. Again, I'll do some research and see what I can do with that. Well, that there is the momentary switch I was telling you about. When the door of the grill is closed, presses the momentary switch. Now that can come in handy for all sorts of things, so that will be kept as well. Okay, this is the stuff I'm throwing away. These are the side panels that I was going to fit on the other oven until I saw how much it was involved to get these type of side panels on. But there's two of them, and me and my wife have been talking about possibly making that into a roof for a chicken coop we're making. We've got the oven and the grill. One is probably going to be turned into a rocket stove type oven. The other one we're not entirely sure about yet. These are spare bits of plate metal for different projects coming up. We then have different brackets and so on, pile of screws and nuts and bolts, the momentary switch, which will be very handy. I'm making a wind turbine in the next few months, and that will actually have a pride of place on that, and I will explain that when I do it. We here have wire and LEDs. A lot of it I'll keep, but a lot of it I'll throw, depending on the state of it. This is the stuff I'm keeping to fit to the new old oven, and there's a few bits that are just there as spare parts in case they break. Here we've got the front of the oven, which I'm taking the glass off, and the handle. I'll keep the handle for this oven in case. And then underneath there is two other sheets of metal that we'll be using for various projects. that's the heating elements and so on. I'm not sure what I'm doing with them yet. The piece of glass is what I said I'd do, which is make a outdoor rocket mass heater, and that will be to show the nice flames and make it all beautiful looking. And then this pile here is stuff I'm going to see about selling on eBay, see if I can get any money for it before I decide to use it for something else. It's worth trying, you know, I'm not going to lose anything by trying, and it'd be nice to make some money out of, you know, spare scrap parts I've got. Okay, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and if there's anything you'd like to see me build, take apart, whatever, just leave it in the comment section and I'll see what I can do. I don't buy any bits to take apart, but if I've got them, I'll take them apart for you. Thanks for watching, see you again soon. Bye!